Hey everyone, welcome to Content with Stefan. I'm Stefan and I'm a writer and entrepreneur. And in my career so far, I've been featured in major publications like Huffington Post, Fast Company, and more. And I've also helped my clients achieve really great ROI with their content. In this channel, I'm going to share the lessons that I've learned in my career so far as a creator, as well as the strategies and tips that I share with my clients to achieve ROI with their content. I'm so happy to have you here, and without further ado, let's get started. So the idea for this channel actually came from two different experiences that I had. At the end of last year, at the end of 2019, I had a really great year and I wanted to give back in a way. So I gave out 6 free consulting sessions to talk about content, any kind of content. And I got people who were entrepreneurs leading teams, whether they were in a startup or an entrepreneurial individual, an employee who actually had to get writing done, a content marketer or a writer or photographer, videographer, and a couple people who were on their own, doing it for themselves, their personal brand. And the interesting thing that stuck out to me about all of these was that the questions were actually kind of similar on a fundamental level. And it was questions around, who is my audience? How do I find that? How do I come up with content ideas? How do I write better? Basic fundamental stuff. And that got me thinking, hey, maybe there's more here. I want to continue these conversations because frankly, I absolutely loved being able to help people. So fast forward a few months and into 2020, I decide, hey, I'm going to continue these sessions. I'm going to bring them back in and see if I can help people. And I had this tweet that nearly broke my heart. It was someone who tweeted at me and said, hey, I want your help. However, you have no availability for a month, so I guess I'm waiting. And now those consulting sessions are still available. I'm going to put the link in the description below if you want to talk directly to me. But it got me thinking, there's got to be a way that I can help this individual more and be more available, especially considering that so many of the questions that get asked are similar and have some similar fundamentals. So that was the initial thought for this channel. And what I decided to do was put it out on social media. I'm not an influencer in any sense of the word, but I've got a decent following on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I decided to put it out. I just said, hey, I'm thinking about it. What would you like? Is there anything that you're interested in? And quite a few of you actually were amazing. You asked me your direct questions. You said that you wanted this type of content. So my goal with this channel is to dig into the questions that you're asking, the real questions you have, the real challenges you're facing, as well as some of the best practices that I've learned along the way. And hopefully that is more valuable to you. Now, I do still have those consulting sessions, like I mentioned, but this channel is all about scaling that out because if at all possible, I want to try and help more than one person at the same time. I absolutely love this question. Like I said, the idea of only being able to create one thing. What's that one thing? And the reason why I love it is it actually works almost no matter your size and almost no matter how many resources you have. And I know that goes against the point of the question, but I mean that. And why I mean those things is that everyone has been in that situation before. Even if you work for a multi-billion-dollar company and have a massive budget, you might have been in a moment where your boss said, prove that this works. Show me value first, get me an ROI now, and then we'll talk about opening up that budget. Or maybe you're in a startup where you don't have any money and you barely have any time and you have pressure to get shit done. Excuse my language, get stuff done. And you have to put out a piece of content that's going to actually drive a business result for you because you don't have time to do an extended blogging strategy, which we're going to talk about and can be incredibly impactful. But when you only have the resources, whether that's time or money, for one piece of content, it is absolutely crucial that you do what I call a manifesto piece. A manifesto can be incredibly useful for a lot of different things. And in particular, it's one long form piece of content, and you got to start with it written down, or at the very least a video that you're going to transcribe that talks about exactly who your ideal customer is, what problems that ideal customer is facing, and what the solution actually looks like for that individual facing that problem. Digging in a little bit more to the first one. So who is your ideal customer? It's not just about, the person with the most money. It's not the person who is going to be your savior later on. The best way to think about it is your ideal customer is the person who has the exact problem that your solution solves right now. This question gets a little bit more complicated when you're in the technology, the SaaS, software as a service field, or a really complex product, but you still have to look for that connection. The second piece of your ideal customer profile is that they have budget to solve this problem, or they are, at the very least, able to make decisions quickly. So the first one, fairly obvious. If they have no money to pay for this and aren't going to get money to pay for this, then they're not your ideal customer, because your ideal customer is someone who can actually pay you. But on the flip side, if they don't have a budget right now, it doesn't necessarily mean they won't have a budget. So they can still be an ideal customer if they're able to make decisions quickly, because that type of person can say, okay, I do have this problem. I do need this solution. Let's get going. Let's reallocate budget. The next piece here is about the actual problem that they're facing. You're talking about what that challenge means for them. What are they really attempting to get? So a way to think about this is, instead of saying what problem are they facing, say what are they trying to achieve that might make them look for a product or service like what you offer. You already know that they need it, because that's step one. You know that they need your product or service, or else they're not an ideal customer. But in terms of the problem they're facing, it should actually be framed in terms of the outcome or benefit that they're seeking. And then the last piece is actually describing what a solution looks like. And I mean specifically what. You want to talk about what is going on in their world, what is needed, who needs to make those changes. But all of this is done from an informational, strategic level, or kind of a DIY level. Using myself as an example, if I'm going to talk about this manifesto piece for a writer, for myself, then I'm going to look at it from the perspective of, okay, well, I could teach you to write. I could give you a piece of content to teach you how to write. So if your problem was a skill gap, then I can help you bridge that. I can give you resources to, do some of the writing for you. A tool like a Hemingway that's going to help you edit better, or Grammarly that's going to check your grammar as you write. Again, depending on what your problems are, and that's the type of information that I can give out. Now, there is an obvious gap there where if someone goes, okay, that's great, but I need someone to write this for me, well, that's what I do. And ideally, you want the solution you talk about, the what that you talk about, and this is what you need to do to solve your problem, naturally flows to your service or product if they want that. Now, the ideal here is to actually educate someone and to bring them as part of the conversation, but leaving just a little bit to make sure that you still are providing value. So a question that's probably on your mind is why? Why does a manifesto piece matter? Why is it the one that I would actually recommend if you don't have all these resources? And the answer is actually pretty simple. It's how much you can do with the manifesto piece after you've written it. So let's say you write a blog about a topic that applies to your industry. In my example, or for my industry rather, that might be something like how to come up with a content idea, and I'll offer 2 strategies that I use. And in order for that to really drive sales for me as a content writer, again, what I'm really going to actually make money on and the problem that someone is really facing, I need a lot more content around it. There needs to be an ecosystem. The manifesto piece is actually the beginning of that ecosystem, because you've done a really critical thing. You've directly identified and spoken to your key audience. You've explained what the heck is going on. You've welcomed them into the conversation, and you've given them an opportunity to solve some of their own problem, or at the very least, recognize the path to solve the problem, which hopefully you fit perfectly into. So the other piece there, no pun intended, with this manifesto piece is what else you can do with it. So you can turn it into more blog posts. You can take that one long form and turn it into derivative blog posts. You can take it into a guest blog post. You can make a guest blog post for a relevant blog in your industry, linking back to your manifesto, or using that as the basis to prove that you kind of know what you're talking about. You can take some of that information and build a landing page that could convert leads or even potentially sales, depending on what you sell and what kind of business you're in. You can take that manifesto and train your customer success managers, your marketers, and your salespeople on who they're really talking to. Because at the end of the day, those 3 teams, sales, marketing, customer success, are supposed to be working together to serve clients. And they need to know, of course, who the heck they're talking to. So sales can bring in the right people, marketing can attract the right people, and customer success can keep the right people. So realize that there's a lot of power there in this one manifesto piece for all of this derivative content. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to introduce you to Lord Arthur Cuddlesworth. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It'd be so great to have you in the community. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.